My wife cheated on me in our bedroom. I caught on camera. Now she's trying to ruin my life. Here I am now, 41, blindsided, and watching my life fall apart in slow motion. Let me rewind. So I'm Marcus. Systems admin, pretty boring guy, I guess. I like routines. I like quiet. My wife, Rhea, and I have been married for 11 years. No drama. Just work, dinner, Netflix, sleep, rinse and repeat. It wasn't fireworks, but it worked. Or at least I thought it did. Until it didn't. Rhea started pulling away. First it was late nights at work. Then it was emergencies. Then it was just silence. She'd come home, barely say a word, eat dinner like it was a chore, and disappear in her phone. I tried to talk, and she'd brush me off. Cold, distant, like I was a roommate she barely tolerated. One night, I was chopping onions, and her phone lit up on the counter. She snatched it up and flipped it face down like it was a reflex. Work, she muttered. No eye contact. No explanation. I didn't say anything. I should have, but I didn't. The next few weeks were a blur of red flags. She started taking these long walks after dinner, always alone, always glued to her phone. I offered to come with her once, and she looked at me like I'd asked to borrow her toothbrush. I need space, Marcus, she snapped. And then there was the laptop. Every time I walked into the room, slam, shut like a trap. No browser history. No warmth. Just this wall between us that kept getting higher. One night, I finally asked, "What's going on, Rhea?" She didn't even flinch. Just stared at me like I was a bug on the wall. "Nothing," she said, way too fast. I pressed. "The walks. The phone. The way you look at me like I'm a stranger." She rolled her eyes. "God, Marcus, you're so predictable. Is this what you do when you're bored? Spy on me?" And she just walked away. No fight. No explanation. Just gone. The next day, I saw her. I was walking past this cafe near my office, and there she was, sitting with some guy. Younger. Tall. Clean cut. She was laughing, like really laughing, the kind of laugh I hadn't heard in years. She leaned in close, touched his wrist. Her whole face lit up. I just stood there. Couldn't move. My hand went to my ring finger like it had a mind of its own. The ring was still there, but it felt like a joke. I did some digging. His name's Colin Westridge. Young doctor. Transferred to her department a few months ago. I confirmed it myself. That night, I confronted her. "I saw you. At the cafe." She didn't even blink. That was Colin. A colleague. We were talking about a patient. No hesitation. No guilt. Just gaslighting. "You're paranoid, Marcus." Then she went to bed like nothing happened. I didn't sleep. The next morning, I went to the electronics store. Not for a TV. I went straight to the back, security section. Found a discreet camera. Motion activated. Small. Powerful. Paid in cash. I installed it in our bedroom. I know how that sounds. But I needed to know. I needed the truth. For weeks, nothing. Just empty footage. Same lighting. Same silence. Same cold bed. Then I had to go on a 2-day work trip to Vancouver. I came back early. Plug in the drive. Open the file. And there it was. Her laugh. That same laugh from the cafe. From our wedding day. From the early years when she actually loved me. It echoed through the speakers like a knife to the chest. Then they walked into our bedroom. Her hand on his neck. His shadow crossed the lens. Then black. I couldn't breathe. I copied the footage. Encrypted it. Took it to a lawyer. Filed for divorce the next morning. Grounds, adultery. I submitted the footage as evidence. 2 days later, a server showed up at our door with the papers. I stayed in the kitchen and watched her open the envelope. She didn't cry, didn't scream, just stared at the papers like they were a grocery list. Then she looked at me. "You recorded me?" "In our bedroom." Her voice was ice. "So that's all you know how to do now? Watch while your life falls apart." I didn't say anything. What was there to say? But I knew this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. And I was right. Because 2 weeks later, the police called. She accused me of something. Something serious. But just know this, the truth I uncovered, it turned against me. And everything started to unravel. I'm not looking for pity. I just need to get this out. Maybe someone out there's been through something similar. Maybe someone can tell me I'm not crazy. Because right now, it feels like I'm drowning. This story's about to go full-blown psychological thriller, and I'm not even exaggerating. So a few weeks after I serve her the papers, I get a call. Unknown number. I pick up. Mr. Havel? This is Sergeant Langley with the RCMP. We need you to come down to the station. It's about your wife. I asked if she was okay. He just said, she's fine. We just need to speak with you. I show up. They put me in one of those tiny interrogation rooms that smells like burnt coffee and old metal. A detective walks in. Guy looks like he hasn't slept in a week. He sits down, opens a folder, and says, "Your wife's filed a complaint. Unlawful surveillance. Invasion of privacy." I swear I felt the blood drain from my face. I told him the camera was in my own house, my own bedroom. He just gave me this tired little smirk. Still counts, Mr. Havel, especially when it's used to record private acts. And just like that, I went from betrayed husband to potential criminal. My lawyer, Ms. Davies, absolute shark, had warned me this might happen. The footage proves infidelity, yes, but it also opens you up to countercharges. Privacy laws are tricky. I didn't listen. I was too angry, too hurt. I wanted justice. But Rhea? She wasn't playing defense. She was going for the jugular. Ms. Davies met me outside the station. Her face said it all. She drained her accounts. Marcus. Every joint account. Gone. I just stood there blinking. What? She moved everything. Offshore. It's gone. I checked my pockets like an idiot, like maybe I'd find something there. I didn't even have enough for gas. I can't afford you anymore, I said, and it felt like swallowing glass. She didn't flinch. This one's on me. I should have seen this coming. But we're not done. We fight back, and we fight smart. So I turned my apartment, now empty, cold, and echoing, into a war room. Just me, my laptop, and a whole lot of rage. I stopped sleeping. Coffee became my blood type. I started digging. And what I found, it wasn't just about me anymore. I traced the money. Rhea didn't just stash it in some Cayman Island account. She funneled it through layers of shell companies, crypto wallets, and offshore banks. It was too complex for her to pull off alone. Then I saw it. A memo attached to one of the transfers. Project Nightingale. That name hit me like a brick. Colin, the guy she cheated with, he's a doctor. Works in medical research. Nightingale is whispered about in certain corners of the internet. A black market data ring. They steal patient records, genetic info, insurance data, and sell it to the highest bidder. Pharma companies, insurance scammers, you name it. I went deep, like dark web deep. Forums, encrypted threads, hidden databases. I found references to Nightingale all over the place. Hospitals getting hacked. Clinics losing patient data. People's identities being sold for trials they never signed up for. And then I found it. A transaction. Huge sum. Tied to a crypto wallet. I followed the trail and ended up on this sketchy site pretending to be a medical research initiative. Buried in the code was a donation address, the same wallet. The recipient? A shell corp linked to illegal pharmaceutical trials. This wasn't just about my money. This was about people's lives. Then came a bombshell. I found a hidden chat log, buried in a forgotten server, between Rhea and someone else. They were talking about a Nightingale package, and a name popped up. Silas. He wasn't a buyer. He was a blackmailer, a digital ghost, known for extorting people involved in illegal data ops. He didn't want the data, he wanted the fear. He was threatening to expose Rhea and Colin unless they paid up. And they were scrambling. The money Rhea stole? It wasn't for a new life with Colin. It was hush money, blood money, to keep Silas quiet. I kept reading. Found references to Rhea's gambling debts. A failed investment she never told me about. She was desperate, drowning, and she dragged me down with her. The final message in the chat log was from Silas. 2 days before she emptied our accounts. Tick-tock, the clock is running out. Pay up or the truth spills. I just sat there, staring at the screen. My whole body numb. I had it all. Proof of the affair. Proof of the theft. And now, proof of a criminal conspiracy. This wasn't just a divorce anymore. This was war. I closed the laptop. This week, I dropped the hammer. Ms. Davies, my lawyer, absolute legend, suggested we set up a voluntary meeting. Just the lawyers and us. No court, no judge, just a table, 4 chairs, and the truth. We met in this sterile conference room that smelled like lemon polish and old paper. Rhea was already there when I walked in. She looked composed. Too composed. Like she'd rehearsed this. Her lawyer sat beside her. Sharp suit, sharper eyes. I didn't say a word. Just sat down and let the silence stretch. Her lawyer started with the usual. Rhea is the victim here. She was recorded without consent. The funds were withdrawn for her safety. Blah, blah, blah. Same script, different day. Rhea didn't look at me. Not once. Just stared past my shoulder like I was a ghost. And the perfume she wore, the one I used to love, now smelled like bleach and lies. Then it was our turn. Miss Davies gave me a nod. I reached down and pulled out 2 briefcases. Real old-school stuff. The leather was worn, the latches stiff. I opened the first one slowly. No drama. Just deliberate, quiet movements. We've reviewed your client's position, I said, keeping my voice calm. And we have some additional information that might change the conversation. I slid the first stack of documents across the table. Transaction records. Not just the drained accounts, the whole money trail. Transfers through shell companies, crypto wallets, offshore banks. All annotated. Dates, amounts, destinations. Rhea's hand twitched. Just a little. But I saw it. Then came the access logs. Her login credentials. Late-night entries into sensitive patient databases. From her personal devices. Outside of work hours. No medical justification. Just cold, hard timestamps. And finally, the kicker. Internal messages. Not smoking guns, but enough to paint a picture. References to packages, deliverables, and the name Silas popping up like a bad omen. I even brought a diagram. Yeah, I made a freaking conspiracy board. Shell core, crypto wallets, dark web forums. It was all there. A full-blown operation. I didn't yell. Didn't accuse. Just laid it all out like a surgeon with a scalpel. The room went dead quiet. Rhea's lawyer picked up the papers. Flipped through them. Her face didn't move at first, but then I saw it. A flicker. Concern. Maybe even fear. She looked at Rhea. Quick glance. Barely a second. But it said everything. And Rhea? Her mask cracked. Just for a moment. Her jaw clenched. Her eyes flicked to the diagram. And I swear, for a split second, I saw something that wasn't just fear. It was desperation. Maybe even relief. Like she was tired of pretending. I remembered the gambling debt. The failed investment. The stuff I'd found in her digital footprint. She was drowning long before she ever met Colin. This whole thing, the affair, the data theft, it was her way of clawing for air. Her lawyer cleared her throat. With like a brief recess. They left the room. Didn't say a word. Ms. Davies leaned over and whispered, "Well played, Marcus." I just stared at the empty chairs. The smell of stale coffee was suddenly overwhelming. 10 minutes later, they came back. Rhea looked smaller somehow. Her lawyer sat down, posture less rigid. "My client," she said, voice softer now, "is open to revisiting the divorce settlement. And we're willing to discuss the privacy complaint informally." I didn't say a word. Just stood up. The chair scraped loudly against the floor. I walked out. As I passed the waiting area, I saw her. Rhea, sitting alone, hands clasped in her lap. The documents I'd presented were scattered on the coffee table in front of her. She didn't touch them. Didn't look up. Just sat there, staring at nothing. That night, my phone rang. "Marcus? It's Carol, Rhea's mom." Her voice was tight. Nervous. "This divorce, it needs to be handled with dignity. Not all this filth you've thrown at Rhea." She had a panic attack. A complete breakdown. I asked, "Did Rhea ask you to call me?" Silence. Then, quietly, "No. She doesn't know I'm calling." I didn't know what to say. I just sat there, holding the phone, listening to the hum of the city outside my window. I'm not sure what's next. But I know this. The truth is out. And Rhea's world, the one she built on lies, is starting to collapse. I thought I'd seen the worst of it. I thought the lies, the cheating, the stolen money, that was the peak of the madness. I was wrong. Again. Last night, I was scrolling through the news like I always do, trying to distract myself, try to feel normal when I saw it. An article. Anonymous. No byline. No names. But the headline hit like a punch to the gut. Medical insider tied to unauthorized data access, private intelligence network. It didn't name Rhea, or Colin, or me, but the details, the timeline, The references to a whistleblower husband and obsessive surveillance. It was us. It was me. And it wasn't just a leak. It was a hit piece. Colin. It had to be him. A preemptive strike to save his own skin. He was trying to frame Rhea as the mastermind, paint her as a rogue actor, a desperate woman spiraling out of control. And me? I was the unstable ex with a history of invasive behavior. I felt sick. Ms. Davies moved fast. She filed an official inquiry with the site, demanding their sources. She also drafted a public statement defending my name. The article didn't say my name outright, but the insinuations were razor-sharp. Unhealthy obsession, digital surveillance, emotional instability. Rhea had clearly told Colin everything I knew, and he twisted it into a weapon. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, Rhea filed another complaint. Different jurisdiction this time. Accused me of harassment. Asked for a restraining order. Classic move. Textbook manipulation. She was trying to paint herself as the victim again, this time legally. But Ms. Davies was ready. We handed over my phone records, emails, texts, everything. And guess what? Almost every single communication between us in the last 2 weeks had been initiated by Rhea. She'd called me. She'd texted me. She'd even emailed me twice. The paper trail didn't just poke holes in her story, it shredded it. But the real twist came later that day. Rhea's employer, a major medical company, called me. Not HR, not PR, legal. Their internal counsel asked me to attend a meeting. Said they needed clarity. Ms. Davies came with me. The building was all glass and chrome. Cold. Impersonal. We sat in a sleek conference room that looked like it belonged in a sci-fi movie. Rhea wasn't there. Of course she wasn't. Across from us sat the company's head of security and their legal counsel. An independent auditor joined via video, his face frozen in pixels every few seconds. They didn't waste time. They asked about the article, about the allegations, about what I knew. I kept it clinical. No emotion, just facts. I told them about the missing money, the offshore accounts, the crypto trail, the Project Nightingale reference. I didn't accuse anyone directly, just laid out the complexity of the operation, the sophistication, the kind of thing that doesn't happen without coordination. They listened, took notes, exchanged glances. Then they told me they were launching an internal investigation, effective immediately. They didn't say it outright, but the message was clear. Rhea was in deep. And Colin? He just made things worse by trying to throw her under the bus. After the meeting, Ms. Davies and I found a quiet coffee shop nearby. It was one of those places that smells like burnt espresso in Oldwood. She ordered black coffee, stirred slowly. Her hands were steady, but her eyes weren't. "Marcus," she said, "there's no turning back now." I nodded. I knew. She won't drop the privacy complaint, she continued. Not after today. Not after what was revealed. She looked at me, really looked at me. Prepare for court. This is go to trial. The words hit like a gavel. Final. Heavy. This isn't just a divorce anymore. It's a war. And the next battlefield is the courtroom. I'm not scared. I'm exhausted. But I'm not backing down. Because now it's not just about me. It's about the truth. And I'm not letting them bury it. I thought I was fighting for justice. For truth. For some kind of moral high ground. But the truth? It doesn't always come clean. The verdict came down like a hammer. Section 162 of the Canadian Criminal Code. Criminal invasion of privacy. That hidden camera I installed to catch my wife cheating? It became the very thing that nearly destroyed me. The courtroom was cold. Fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. I barely heard the judge's words. Ms. Davies argued hard, said I had no criminal record, that I never shared the footage, that I was acting out of emotional distress. But the court didn't budge. Infidelity, they said, doesn't justify illegal surveillance. I was found guilty. Conditional discharge. Probation. No jail time, but a permanent criminal record. The media pounced. They didn't name names, but they didn't have to. Our town's not that big. Headlines danced around the details, but everyone knew. Talk radio lit up. Some people defended me. He caught her. What else was he supposed to do? Others weren't so kind. He violated her privacy. End of story. I felt their eyes everywhere, even when no one was looking. Then came the fallout. My employer, an information security firm, of all things, put me on unpaid leave. A few weeks later, I got the letter. Terminated. Reputational risk. Ethical breach. Licensing concerns. Just like that, the job I'd built my life around was gone. I sat in my apartment, the same one that used to be filled with warmth and routine, and felt the walls close in. The silence was deafening. I kept asking myself, was it worth it? Did I go too far? But then something shifted. The medical company where Ria worked released the results of their internal investigation. It didn't name her, but it didn't have to. The press connected the dots. Headlines exploded. Employee linked to unauthorized access of patient data. The company referred the case to the Medical Practice Ethics Oversight Board. Ria's license? Suspended. Indefinitely. Then came the letter from Ms. Davies. The Regional Digital Security Department wanted my cooperation. They were building a case on personal data misuse. Ria and Colin were both indicted. I didn't even have to appear in court, just sign the testimony. Done. Ria's harassment complaint? Dismissed. The court found no evidence. They even recommended we resolve the rest of our issues privately. No more courtroom drama. A few weeks later, I heard Ria had been fired. No recommendation. The official reason? Gross violation of ethical and legal standards. Her access logs had nailed her. Colin was convicted too, though the details were murky. I didn't care. The damage was done. And then, something unexpected happened. My phone rang. It was the Community Digital Literacy Center, a nonprofit that teaches seniors and kids about online safety. They heard about my case. They asked if I'd consider leading a course on ethical digital conduct and privacy. I almost laughed. Me, the guy with a criminal record? But I said yes. I walked into that first class, a room that smelled like old books and nervous energy, and saw a dozen faces looking up at me. Curious, hopeful. I talked about mistakes, about boundaries, about how easy it is to cross a line when you're hurt, and how hard it is to come back. It didn't erase what I'd done. It didn't bring back my job, but it gave me something I hadn't felt in a long time. Purpose. And then, one night, I got an email. Subject line, "Thank you." It was from a woman I'd never met. She said her medical records had been compromised in the same breach tied to Project Nightingale. Because of the investigation, because I'd exposed it, her records were found before they were sold. She wrote, "You don't know me, but you saved us from a potential nightmare. Thank you for your courage." I sat there, staring at the screen, tears in my eyes. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It never should have been. It was about doing the right thing, even when it costs you everything. So yeah, I lost a lot, but I found something too. And for now, that's enough. Thanks for reading. Stay safe. Stay honest. And if you're ever standing at the edge of a decision that feels like justice, stop. Breathe. Ask yourself if it's also right. Because sometimes the line between the two is razor thin.